Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Christopher Mizera and I am PhD of Sports Physiology and Nutrition, and I have been working with sports athletes for 14, maybe 15 years. Moreover, I am lecturer at university in Warsaw in Poland, and today I would like to tell you a little about energy substrates, especially about carbohydrates. And title of my presentation is the role and importance of carbohydrates in team and individual sports. Obviously, we know that athletes can use energy from different ways, from different substrates, but I think that carbohydrates is one of the most important substrate, especially for both team sports like football, like volleyball, basketball, and so on, and individual sports like marathon, or maybe tennis, maybe martial sports, and so on. So, same as proteins, carbohydrates are a material that builds our muscle mass, and in additional, they are largely responsible for the regeneration of the body after an intensity training unit. In competitive sports, the amount of energy obtained from carbohydrates, especially during high training loads, should reach even 70% of the total daily food ration. Obviously, not always we will eat 70%, because generally 45 or to 65% is enough for general athletes, or maybe for amateur athletes. But sometimes, especially when it comes to marathon runners, triathlonists, or maybe long distance swimmers, sportsmen may eat even 70%. But as I said, it is not always recommended. Those like this. So we have two types of carbohydrates: simple carbohydrates, monohydrates. They are not subject to hydrolysis in the human digestive tract, so they are directly absorbed into the bloodstream, a process that begins in our mouth. So the results of their decomposition is water and CO2, carbon dioxide, we can say. These are glucose, fructose, and galactose, etc. So glucose, one of the most important carbohydrate, simple carbohydrate. This is sugar, grape sugar, found in plant juice, especially fruit juices, sunflowers, and honey. But the most important for us, it is that in humans and animals it occurs as a spare in the form of glycogen. It is the only sugar that is directly transported from the blood to the tissues. For example, fructose, galactose, and others must be converted into glucose in the liver, and then as a glucose can be transported to our tissues. So we have simple and we have complex carbohydrates, and complex carbohydrates is a combination of two or more simple sugars. The best known and important sugar is source disahydrate, which is composed by glucose and fructose. And so the concentration of glucose in human blood is about 4.42 to 6.66 millimole per liter. It is about 80 to 100% milligrams percent. And fall below this value is called hypoglycemia, and an increase in blood sugar is called hyperglycemia. Obviously, both of these phenomena are unfavorable for the body. Therefore, the system returns them to normal via neurohormonal path. And in this slide we can see hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia symptoms, and we can see, for example, sweating, pallor, irritability, hunger, lack of coordination, and sleepiness when it comes to hypoglycemia. And another symptoms by hyperglycemia, it is dry mouth, increased thirsty, weakness, also headache, blurred vision, and frequently urination. These symptoms can occur when we have problems with glucose level in our blood. And in this slide we can see high glycemic index and low glycemic index. When we're talking about high glycemic index, we are thinking about, for example, sweets. We are thinking about white bread, white rice, white pasta, beverages like cola, Fanta, and something like that. Foods like this have high glycemic index, and when we eat or drink something like this, then a level of glucose in our blood increase quickly, as we can observe in this picture, but for about 45-60 minutes after taken food like this, level of glucose decrease rapidly, and then we don't have enough energy. We can feel weak, sleepiness, and something like that. So low glycemic index, it is, for example, brown bread, brown rice, whole grain bread, for example. And this one has totally different impact of our body, because when we eat food with low glycemic index, then we can see that level of glucose in our blood, it not increase as quickly as in high glycemic index. This is lower increase, but we have energy for longer time, and this is better option for athletes. So glycogen. Glycogen is very important source in very important thing in our body for athletes. The amount of glycogen in the body is approximately 400 grams, of which approximately 100 grams is in the liver, and approximately 300 grams is stored in our muscles. And this amount of glycogen covers the energy expenditure of about 1200 to 1300 calories, and this resource can secure a 3 hours continuous effort with an intensity of 70-80% VO2 max. However, By doing strength training and eating a high carbohydrate diet, you can increase these values to 135 grams for the liver and even 900 grams for skeletal muscles. Obviously, not everyone can has as much as 900 grams glycogen in our muscles, but if you are, for example, bodybuilders or weightlifters or maybe strongmen, it is possible for you. And important thing that lack of glycogen in working muscles impairs their function. So we should take care about glycogen, because thanks to that we can train harder. And very important is that rapid supplementation of carbohydrates affects the replenishment and restoration of glycogen by inhibiting the catabolism of muscle mass and causes rapid regeneration of the body, in particular mechanically damaged muscle fibers during training. And it is estimated that the rate of glycogen restoration after exhausting exercise is limited and amounts to approximately 5% per hour only. And the complete regeneration of this resource usually takes approximately 20 hours restitution. Obviously, this time could be longer if you will not eat good quality carbohydrates and quality and quantity also, because it is important too. Yeah, and a very important thing that you should replenish carbohydrates quickly after training. For example, 30-40 minutes after training, you should eat, for example, high glycemic index carbohydrates, and after that low glycemic carbohydrates, and then you will know that you get to your body important ingredients to recover your glycogen. And here we can see that we have liver glycogen and muscle glycogen. And in the second picture we can see that, as we said before, regeneration of glycogen is very long. It can take 20-25 hours, but if you will not eat good quality carbohydrates, then time of regeneration can last longer, even 48 hours. So the optimal amount of carbohydrates consumed during the 24 hours post-workout recovery should range between 600 to 800 grams, and during the first 4-6 hours it should be the best results and achieved by consuming carbohydrates with a high glycemic index. And in strength sports, the dose of carbohydrates consumed is strictly dependent on the body weight and the training period in which the athlete is located. However, it is assumed that on training days the dose of carbohydrates should be on average 6 to 7 grams per kilogram body weight a day, and 4 grams per kilogram body weight a day non-training days. For example, if you have a rest day, you have free day, you don't go to the gym, then you have a free day and it is time to recover your body and your muscles. In strength training, carbohydrates, mainly muscle and liver glycogen, are the source of ATP resynthesis in addition to phosphocreatine. It is a very important thing also. And in endurance training, such as marathon, half marathon, swimming, triathlon, etc., the amount of carbohydrate consumed should be between 6 to 10 gram per kilogram body weight per day, obviously. And in team sports, team games like football, basketball, and so on, it depending on the training period, but generally it is between 8 to 10 grams per kilogram body weight in the preparatory period, and about 6 to 9 gram per kilogram body weight per day in the starting period, during the season. And a carbohydrate load is a very important thing for athletes. Also, its purpose is to increase glycogen stores above normal levels. The phenomenon is beneficial for players practicing endurance sports lasting over 90 minutes. Loading with carbohydrates postpones the moment of fatigue by about 20% and improves efficiency by 2 or 3%. The classic 6-day cycle is completed with 2 phases: exhausting glycogen training season separated from each other by day 3, and low carb, followed by 3 days of carbohydrates consumption with minimal exercise. And here we can observe 2 methods: classical method, as I said before, and contemporary method, maybe simpler method, when you eat and training normally for 4 days, and only two last days you train less than before and eat more carbohydrates, because it is between 10 to 12 gram per kilogram body weight per day, obviously. And that's why this way you can recover or gain your glycogen more than even 100%. And for example, in the starting day you have full fuel, and for example it could be even 110% of fuel. That's why. And that's all. I think I told you the most important things connected with carbohydrates in sports generally. So thank you for your attention. Good luck.